today, me and Alex will tell you about some of the FX work we did on Hellboy. So let me tell you a few words about myself. I've been in the industry for around 13 years, and my background is mainly in lighting and look dev. I went through all the steps in it. I was also in R&D. So that's what my main core and interests lie in. And about our company, Worldwide FX was founded 17 years ago. So we worked on quite a bit of projects. The number is that high up because years ago we used to have smaller projects and tighter schedules. Now we tend to work on feature films, which give us more time to work on them, and also the complexity gets a lot bigger. So we cover all the process we do. We have art, design, storyboards. We have people that go on set, do supervision, data wrangling, and after that also all the post-processing after that in post-production. So here you can see some of our projects. The whole last year we spent on Hellboy, which we will be covering today. And now I'll show you. Thanks. So on Hellboy, we worked on 900 shots, which does not include the dropped ones, so there was a lot more work to that. We did all of it in Houdini, the FX work. Years ago, we were using a bit more different setup. We were mainly on Maya and RealFlow, but as of a few years ago, we do all of it in Houdini. It does a very good job for us. So on Hellboy, we had to create pretty much anything that you can imagine, from magic to hair, cloth, water, explosions, blood, and all that sorcery stuff. So we started the project on Houdini 16.5, and we went a lot with it, but at some point we got some creature shots late in the project, and this prompted us to try the newly announced Vellum framework that came out of side effects. So this helped us tremendously because we didn't have a lot of time, and we managed to do a lot of iterations and improve our quality. So really thankful for that. I don't know if they know something about what we do, but it came just on time and it really helped us. It was a bit of a risky change, I can say for sure, but it paid off and it was worth it for sure. So now I'll hand it off to Alex, who will talk about one specific effect in the movie, which was a portal opened by one of the main evil character, the Blood Queen. So here's off to him.
Thanks. Hi everyone, and I'm going to talk about the portal that we did for this movie, and from the start, from clean paint to the final shot, just in a nutshell because we don't have much time and there's maybe too technical, I don't know.
Yeah, at least we have more vex. I mean.
Yeah. First, we need to prepare the collision geometry. We get a bunch of geometry which are different. I cleaned them up and I wanted to combine them as a VDB because then it would be easier to use them as a collision for volumes or for RBD objects. And this is the final results as a VDB. Then I needed to create a base object that I can use as a force for the portal. Just a simple tube that I add some noise, and I added to the point some vectors that I can use to drive the simulation. For example, the yellow ones that go around the tube with the force, and one that goes from the front of the tube to the end of the tube. That I needed just a little bit so that the tunnel looks like it sucks everything. And also I needed in the center of the tube or the portal some object that I can use and keep clean the center of the portal, because I want it to look like a tube, not something too much cloudy inside. And for that I selected just the edges in the front, in the back, in the center. And for every circle that I get, I merge them in the middle as average points, and that if I connect every point, I get the line that I can use later. And added a bit of velocity attribute that goes from the front to the back again. So I can use that attribute later. And this is the portal in motion that you can see. I also added a poly-sub, so the portal doesn't penetrate below the surface of the collision. It's not that big a deal, but it helps. So after that, I needed to prepare a few debris, and I used some bunch. This is what I had, a little wood debris that I cleaned it up. I removed the small ones that I don't need, and rested their pivot so that they're in the center, so I can use them in the dot network. And this is what I did for some other debris, which is the leaves. They are generated procedurally with different color, different texture, and also hero branches that I think they are photo scans with detailed textures and high poly. After that, I selected the surface when I wanted to scatter all the debris. And when you scatter all the debris, just simple, they are all faced the same direction, and they penetrate with the surface below. And I added a bit of it, jitter above the surface, also random scale and random orientation for all of the debris. And I did the same for all the debris, that is the leaves, the branches, and everything. And after I imported them in the DOP, I needed to apply the forces that I created before for the portal geometry. And the first one is pulling all the debris towards the portal geometry, which is pointing from where every point of debris is towards the geometry. And the next vector, which will be push, which I'm using the center geometry with a little bit distance from the center geometry outside, towards outside, and this keeps all the debris clean from the center, but keeps rotating around the main geometry force. And after that, I also apply the follow force, which is the around the tube or the portal geometry. And I also added a bit force which goes from the front towards the back, so we have that section force that we need to look like a portal sucking all of the debris around. And this is the force control that I have exported, which is based on the distance from the geometry. So as we go far, so the force is less. I also needed to add, we have actors which are on the set. I wanted the debris to go around them. And if you can see these two blue lines, which are actually the geometry, and based on distance from them, they try to avoid them, also with the simple vector. And this should be the movement of all the debris. And if you can see, they go around the actors. And this is just the first pass. All right, I also needed to add additional leaves that just fly in the air, and I added the same forces which just suck to the portal, and this is what they look like. This is just for additional details for the final shot. Right. So next would be the dust or the volume that I needed to create. And this is the collision geometry for our VDB for the volumes, but I also needed to remove the VDB where my emitter would be, because I didn't want my emitter to be visible in the final render. So I needed my emitter to be just a little bit below the surface, and with just a VDB box, I removed the ground from the VDB. Also, next was to select the geometry when I wanted to emit the volume, moved it a little bit under the ground, convert it to volume. I also added with just a bit of X distance from the portal, so it doesn't emit the same all the way, and have a fade out from the distance. And this is how it looks below the surface and with the collision. And then I needed to create the forces for the volume, but my first approach would be creating VDB or volume vector forces. That the first one above to the left, you can see, is just vectors pointing from outside towards the portal geometry, and the bottom one is just going around the portal or the geometry. And when you blend them together, you get that volume that you can use as a force. But later I decided that this doesn't give me much control during the simulation, so I decided to use custom force as before, like the VDB, or sorry, the RBD objects. So I controlled the VDB like if I was controlling particles, because volume wrangle, every time it executes, it's for every voxel for the volume. So I measure if the density of this voxel is above 0.15, I execute this expression, and this is just the same forces that sucks all the volume towards the portal and going around the portal also. And this is the preview from the viewport. Doesn't show much, I guess. And also I added a bit of turbulent noise for more detail in the volume. And next, I needed a bit of a grainy look for the volume because it looked like cloud, but we needed to look like ground, dirt, something like that. And this is this is the selection when we needed to emit the particles. Also applied a bit of fade based on distance. And again, it's the same forces, but just a little bit adjustment on the vectors or the forces, how much I wanted to be strong and based on the mass of the particles and so on. And this is the result. Just the particles going around the main geometry. And next I'm going to show you the render of all the passes going towards final shots when comped. And I think this is it for me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so this was a really interesting effect for us. I mean, usually projects like that don't come very often, so we're glad when you have an opportunity to work on something like that. So this portal featured in a number of shots, and it was all from forming to sitting behind the actors and then disappearing again at the end. It was a very key part of that sequence. And now I'll play you a show reel of the work we did on the project itself. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, it was a bit over a year, so quite a lot of work on that one. So if you have any questions, don't mind him pointing the gun. Yes, the one with the tree. Yeah, we did that. We had some full CG shots with it. So what we did was we had done a photogrammetry reconstruction of it, and then we modeled out an extension towards the plains down the hill. And the distance ones was basic geometry with matte painting on top of it, and also we added some trees there, which we simulated with Houdini to add wind to them. We had different variations on them because they different types parts of the movie they required somewhere to be calmer and other areas more strong wind, like for example where the portal is. But yeah, that's basically what we did with photogrammetry. And for the tree, also we modeled extended the tree as well. And we also did have an effect on it in one shot where Merlin was hitting his staff, so it had to bring up dust and debris and shake up the tree there. So yeah, that's how we went about it. There was probably the biggest sequence, over 300 shots of it, was there in 2 parts. And the first one ended up black and white at the end, but you never know. I mean, so, yeah. So, someone else?
Other questions?
Very simple question. I'm just wondering about simulation times of the portal and what you did to optimize it.
Well, it didn't take that much, I think, but the R&D took about a month, I think, and the simulation for the portal it was maybe 8 hours, not sure, at most for 100 frames, just for the dust, and the other ones were very quick.
Other questions?
Here up front.
Hey, thanks, guys. Great talk. Very fun stuff. The portal looks very good. Do you try to render it together with the rest of the geometry, characters and stuff? Did you render it in Mantra or in your PR man?
Well, so we're still in Houdini for that. We're trying to bring it into Katana. We use Katana and RenderMan otherwise. So ideally, at some point, it depends. I mean, sometimes we do everything in Houdini. If there's Morse effects, like we had some sequences where we had explosions in water, so there it's easier to bring the assets in Houdini, do the look dev there, and render it out with Mantra. Sometimes if we can, mostly hard body stuff, we bring it in Katana and do it with RenderMan, and sometimes it's a mix of both with deep compositing to bring them in.
Because I guess you'll need sometimes reflections and stuff like that.
Yeah, reflections, shadowing, bouncing of light and things like that. So yeah, it's a bit hard in some cases. Usually we go either full Mantra or full RenderMan, and sometimes a mix. Yeah, it helps other with interactive lighting from fire and explosions. It's less pain if you can do it in one place. Somebody else? I guess no. So just an additional note with, if somebody's interested, you can check our website. We're hiring for different positions, so feel free to go there and look up. Even if there's not something that is currently available, you can send us your reel and surely we'll take a look at it. So that was from us. Thank you for giving us your time and coming to this presentation.